Welcome to Screen Chat, live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca. I'm your host, Justin. With me today behind the scenes, we have Eldon and Megan. Thank you guys so much for being here. And as you guys know, Screen Chat is your show all about the latest Marvel movies, DC Comics, Star Wars adaptations, and much, much more. And today, we're definitely tapping into that much, much more because Kawhi Leonard is a part of the Toronto Raptors again. Is Harry Kane going to win the Ballon d'Or? There's a lot to talk about in sports, and I just think, you know what? Shout out to Stephen A. Smith on his first take, because I think we got to do Justin's take today, because there's a lot to discuss. Like I said, you know, Kawhi Leonard, he's back in Toronto. We got a crazy World Cup that's going on. Portugal was here last night. England's been doing bits. Morocco stunning the Netherlands, but we'll get into that. Because first, we move to the ice. Now, there's a lot to talk about today when it comes to puck. And now, what's really cool is that I mean, I feel like Toronto, they just have that like main character, center of attention energy when it comes to hockey, because I feel like the Toronto Maple Leafs, whether we like it or not, they get the most attention from the media. They have the loudest fan base, in my opinion. And I feel like they have more haters than lovers, honestly. So with all that being said, it was to a lot of people's, I guess, displeasure when the Toronto Maple Leafs, who had just a reminder, the fifth worst record, there was a shock that they ended up getting the first overall pick. Now, I was watching that draft lottery live, and I was really hoping that number one was going to go to the Calgary Flames personally, but I also didn't think that the Maple Leafs were going to win it. And the fact that they did was so cool. It was so, like, I just think personally, like, as someone that, like, pretty much, like, lives in Toronto in quotes, I think it's sick that they got the first pick. And, like, you know, obviously I'm a big Leafs fan as well as a Flames fan, so to me, I couldn't really, like, lose. It was, like, task failed successfully. Like, I really wanted the Flames to get it. They didn't. But the Maple Leafs did, so I'm not going to complain there. And, yeah, let's just get straight into it. So the NHL draft was last week. And what's really cool is that the Toronto Maple Leafs, with the first overall pick, would select Gavin McKenna. And yeah, there he is, all red in the Leafs tarp next to Gary Bettman. And it's so cool to finally see this come to light. This was been speculated that, like, for honestly months now. Like, I know a lot of people thought that he was going to go first overall. Then there were some off the ice things that happened, other draft picks going high. But I feel like once Toronto got the pick, it was imminent that it was going to be them who got them. And who would announce it? Well, that was it was kind of funny actually to see. But before we get to that announcement, just want to stick to McKenna here. I'm a huge fan of this guy, I will say. I watched him play a decent amount in the World Juniors. One of my good friends, Pop Out, he's a huge fan of Penn State. Shout out Pop Out. So I've heard about like Saquon Barkley in the past, who was nasty for Penn State for football. And then all I've heard about from him is McKenna. So finally seeing Gavin McKenna put on that Maple Leaf blue was just something different there. And we'll get more into the stats later, but he had a really good year at Penn State. And I think the way, like, when I see him play hockey, now I'm not going to make comparisons yet. I'm not going to maybe put pressure on his shoulders or whatever, but he kind of seems like that, like, McDavid-esque kind of play style. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be the next Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid isn't even done being Connor McDavid. So that's, to me, if you're comparing McKenna to McDavid, that's stupid. Like, I'm not here to do that today. But I will say he kind of gives off, like, the same kind of energy of he's like a force with the puck, for lack of better words. I think when I see McDavid skate, it's like everyone else is in slow motion. He's on like flash speed, if you ask me. But similar to when I see McKenna on the wing, I almost feel like, depending on the clips you watch, maybe from at Penn State or in a World Junior setting, especially the World Juniors where we got the bronze medal recently, I think when you see him with the puck, he almost seems like a half skate ahead. I don't want to say half step here, but I guess half skate, if you will. And that's what's exciting to me, because we're going to see some electric hockey with this guy in Toronto. And I'm really hoping that he's the spark that the Maple Leafs franchise needs to go into the next level, the next step, the next era, whatever you want to call it. And I feel like I'm just so ready to forget about Mitch Marner. I know we cut a Marner promo a few weeks ago. And in a funny way, again, I'm not saying that Gavin McKenna is going to be better than Mitch Marner, and I'm happy about Mitch Marner's service that he had for us. He was amazing during his time here. But I think going from McKenna to Marner, like, given the context, given Marner wanted to leave, maybe he wasn't performing, and now we have the freshest guy on the block, Gavin McKenna, I'm here for that. I'm here for that. And someone else that was here for that was a familiar face in in pop culture here in Canada. We had the one and only Justin Bieber, who did the formal announcement, I should say. This was really cool. I know a lot of hockey fans actually don't like this and are kind of hating on it. To me, like I said in my last episode, nobody hates hockey more than hockey fans. And I think this was really cool to see the new kind of generation get ushered in by such a star that was also in the limelight from such a young age. As a Justin myself, I didn't necessarily love Justin Bieber growing up because that was low-key my nickname at times, and I just didn't like that. But it was cool seeing him step up and go, Mr. McKenna, we'd like to select you to play for the Maple Leafs. I was awesome, bro. That gave me chills. So I think the way he's been indoctrinated thus far, pre-draft in the media, now at the draft itself with Justin Bieber, and now post-draft, we're getting some new players on the team. He's doing some more interviews. He was doing a skate yesterday as well in Leafs gear. There's McKenna tarps in Toronto now. Like, I think it's really cool, and I think he's going to be such a new, like, I guess, fresh face for the city. It's going to be nice to have, again, I don't want to keep calling it a new era. Like, I'm not trying to be Triple H here in WWE and just go new era this, new era that, but it is cool, and I think that he will be the start of, hopefully, a successful era for Toronto Maple Leafs hockey. And now, I'm not just saying that. I low-key do got the stats to back me up here. If we take a look at his Penn State stats here, oh my days, I could see why Pop-Out was always like geeking over this guy. Like, look, like that just kind of speaks for itself. I'm not gonna lie. This was pre-draft, and it's overall crazy because in the NCAA specifically, he had 35 games played to go with 15 goals and 36 assists. And was plus 12 as well. Like that was just pretty solid. In the World Juniors, where they came bronze that I mentioned, he had 7 games played and had 4 goals and 10 assists. Now that was a really good showing for me in the World Juniors, because like I said, he was kind of giving off like McDavid vibes. Not saying he's like going to be Connor McDavid, but definitely like a pass first, could also just put it in the back of the net kind of guy. So I think he's going to be really good in Toronto. I'm assuming he's going to play alongside Austin Matthews, and that's going to be a deadly combination, like Pac and Big L in the 90s, bro. Like that's going to be a really good one right there. And I could go out on a limb and say, I'm assuming he's going to play with Nyes. Like it'll be McKenna, Matthews, and Nyes on that lineup, which I think would be pretty cool. I also wouldn't mind it if we replaced Nyes with Nylander just on a few shifts, because why not? Like I feel like that would be pretty cool too. I wasn't going to go fully into who the Leafs have been getting recently, but I know they stacked up on... I don't actually know. Maybe stacked up is a little inaccurate here. However, they did sign Sergei Bobrovsky. That's the big one. Shout out Charles Barkley. That is not Sergei Babuka, but Sergei Bobrovsky. Very good goaltender. I know he's coming on to the back end of his career, but it's going to be nice to see him in Toronto. And off the top of my head, I know they got Nick Paul as well, which he's like the Maple Leaf killer. So he's actually from Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. So it's cool that they got him. I know Darren Radish was the first big addition who they got from Tampa Bay as well, so that'll be nice. I'm not saying the Leafs are going to go win the Cup this year, especially after Florida's offseason that they're having and the moves that they're able to make. Getting Brady Tkachuk, they got Radko Gudas. I know they got Markstrom as well, former Flame, who's back on Florida. So they're making good moves too. So I'm not saying that Brindamore's boys aren't going to do it again and they're done, but... careful of that wagon that they call it the Florida Panthers for sure. I didn't even mention the Sacred Brother either. Actually, no, I don't think I did. I hope I did not, at least. If I did, Justin, why would you do that? But anyways, we're going to move on now to the next team today that we're going to focus on the ice in hockey. Now, this team is like, man, I had a fear of water back in the day. I actually hated Megalodons. And the San Jose Sharks may need to be renamed to the San Jose Megalodons because they were able to barely miss the playoffs and somehow end up with the 2nd and the 9th overall pick. Now, I know we mentioned earlier that there were some parameters around McKenna's draft and that maybe he wasn't going to go 1st overall. And that would have been at the result of I guess, I don't even know if I could call him a kid. This tank of a hockey player, Ivar Stenberg, who went 2nd overall to the San Jose Sharks. Like, oh my God, bro. The reason why I'm laughing at Ivar Stenberg is because in the SHL, he had 43 games played to go along with 11 goals and 22 assists and was plus 10, which was really good. In the playoffs, he had 4 points as well, registering 4 assists in 6 games here. And his 33 points were the 5th most by an under-18 player in SHL history. And his 10-game point streak actually broke the league record, for a junior player. So he is nasty. This guy, if you watch him play, oh my God. I'm not saying that like this guy is going to be the next like maybe Teemu Selanne and just be the best rookie season since Teemu, but oh my days. Is this guy a force on the ice? Now, as a Leafs fan and a Leafs supporter in this case, and even a Calgary Flames fan and supporter in this case, if either one of those teams got Ivar Stenberg, oh my God, I would have been so happy. And that's me saying that to say I didn't think either of those teams are going to realistically get him. But he is here on San Jose, and he joins Macklin Celebrini. If you know who that is, he's okay at hockey from what I've heard. And Michael Misa and a ton of other young talents, bro. They are building a deep roster for the future. And I think when you look at their depth chart and you see everyone's age start with the number 1 and most of them ending with the number 8, that's going to be a wagon, folks. That's going to be a wagon. And I'm really scared because, like I said, when I was a kid, I had a lot of fear of sharks. And now I feel like the biggest one of them all has yet to appear in my life. And that's probably going to be I don't know, let's call it for in 2027. Like, that's the season we're going into. Probably the 2032 Sharks. Maybe even earlier, maybe 2030. That's not trying to rush them. I know they also signed Mason Marchment, whose name I always don't know how to say. Shout out Dan, because he helped me out yesterday. I know they also got Jacob Trouba, and they even added the one and only, and I'm very shocked, but not surprised. They got Darnell Nurse as well from the Edmonton Oilers. But sticking to that, that blue line core, they also got the 9th overall pick. And they arguably got the steal of the draft at this point, when 9th overall, when they were able to select, like, I'm just laughing because how they got Keaton Verhoff. Like, how did they manage to do this? Like, this, wow, bro, this is a great draft from them, for them to get both of those guys. I don't know much about the young guys in hockey. I'm going to be honest. I'm not the expert. That's not my expertise. So with that being said, if even I know that this brother is really good at hockey, that's how you know him at 9, to me, is such a big steal in this draft. At the University of North Dakota, he had 20 points overall, and in the regular season, that consisted of 6 goals and 14 assists. At the Canada U18 International, in 5 games, he had 4 points with 1 goal and 3 assists. And then at the U20 International, he had 1 goal and 4 assists in 7 games. He had 73 points for the Prince George Cougars in the 25-26 WHL season. Oh my God, bro. That was insane those are the statistics there for him. And what's actually insane to me is that they were able to secure this guy, because I don't even understand how I can't fathom it. Like, the Sharks team, it's almost like I always say to you guys, I sometimes just review things based off of pure emotion, and that was honestly my reaction when I saw this. That's going to be a wagon. That's going to be a great team, and I'm really scared. Michael Misa is also on the team, who I mentioned, who I love. He's one of my favorite young players in the league, and I'm hoping that they could get a cup eventually for Michael Misa, because again, he's one of my boys. I like him. And yeah, I think the Sharks, that's a really good draft. Now moving on to the next team that we're going to focus on, and I accidentally read the wrong statistics at the end there, so I'm going to read off those statistics again soon. But we are going to shift focus now to my boys, my Calgary Flames. They would select Carson Karls with the 6th overall pick. And yeah, this is a great graphic here. You're probably wondering, why did he not get why did he not get a photo? I can't. I'm sorry. I can't, because I know what photo's coming next. Well, this is where he was during the draft. So he was on farm duty. Look at this beauty that's going to come play for the Flames. I love him already just for this alone. And like I mentioned, he had 73 points for the Prince George Cougars in the 25-26 season. Oh my God. He's a very hard-hitting defenseman as well, which I love. If you're a farm boy, I feel like you have to be tough. Like, I've seen Smallville. I know all about that. And he was first-team All-Star in the WHL. Again, sorry that I misread his stats earlier. That was just my notes right here. But it is crazy that the Flames are able to get this guy. Now, as a huge Flames fan, I'm very excited because of all the moves that Craig Conroy's been making. Now, some of them, there's one that I don't like. Oli Mata is gone. but it is what it is. But I will say, the fact that right before the draft, they were able to trade for Simon Nemec, I really thought they were going to go forward here at 6 because Nemec is also a young defender. But the fact that they got Perek, they got Carson Carlos, and they got Simon Nemec, the Zach Whitecloud as well. Like, they have a really good like defensive core that they're building. They just traded for, and I hate that I didn't write this down. They just traded for Minnesota's defenseman there as well. He has a really nice mustache. That's what I remember about him. I think Jacob Middleton. No, that can't be right. We're gonna pretend I didn't say that. But yeah, really good take from the Flames in my opinion. Craig Conroy continues to cook, and I'm really excited to see this team. Is such a young squad. You know, I feel like when I look at the team and I see guys like Matvei Gridin as well. I even look at Bruštevich and Sharon Govich. Like, they have such a good squad. I know some guys like Ryan Lomberg. Unfortunately, he's gone. I really hope they keep Strome. I don't know what Huberdeau is going to be saying next year, but I do know that their young guys are really coming together. I love Dustin Wolf and Devin Cooley's tandem. That's one of my favorite tandems in the league. It probably is the best tandem in the league, if we're being honest, coming in at around $8.5 million for the two. I know Devin Cooley's only making $1 million, but it's still pretty cheap, all things considered. And yeah, I think that the Flames are definitely in the right direction. I could do a whole episode on the Calgary Flames as well, to be honest, especially with Zane Perek. And shout out to Joe Iginla, because I know they took Iginla, which is cool. We got another Iginla wearing the Flames type, which I think is amazing personally. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to hockey. I really wanted to just review those 3 draft teams specifically, because obviously I got a lot of love for the Leafs and Flames, and I'm very, very intrigued to see what the Sharks have to do, because there's I cannot take that Sharks team seriously because of how disgusting they are. Like, that's like a team and a half in my opinion. So moving on now to the next sport we got. Well, oh man, what a week it was for football in the World Cup. We're going to get straight to it. This past weekend, for me, we had a generational matchup. We had Canada and South Africa. Oh, my days. This was a football match. In a very good way. This was not the greatest game you'll ever watch, but as a South African Canadian, I was very proud of both teams. South Africa had put in such a good fight. They were there. They were counterattacking. They were defending. They were like stepping. It was really good. And then in the 92nd minute, Jacob Schaffelberg cross is parried away by the defender's head. And unfortunately, it fell straight to Stefan Eustaquio, who on the half volley made no mistake and booked Canada a spot in the round of 16. Oh man, chills, literal chills. It was so jokes, because in my household, we had like a half South Africa, half Canada display. My granddad was going for Canada. My grandma was going for South Africa. I was kind of just in the middle, taking in the moment. And when Canada scored, it went ballistic in my house. There was so much jubilation, so much emotion. And it was really cool, because that to me is such like a once in a lifetime matchup. Obviously, I don't know how many other South African Canadians you guys may know if it's not me. So that alone might not mean like a lot, but for me that was everything. And I feel like I'm just so grateful to not only see Canada but South Africa in a World Cup again. Haven't seen them since 2010. Canada, we made it in 2022, and now we're back, even better this time. So really good matchup. Really enjoyed it, and it just made me just so emotional. So big ups to Canada. We're going to talk about their matchup in a few clicks here, but moving on, we had the first real big upset of the World Cup, and led by Team Paraguay. You got Encino, I think that's how you say his name. I only say that because there's a place in Cali, the K-Swap song Encino. But yeah, Blue Cowboy there, shout out Taryn. He bagged against Germany, and before, I'm pretty sure it was Eldon's like terrible. It was a terrible game. Yeah, there's a lot of controversy. You know, Jonathan Tah in the extra time scored a great header to give Germany the lead, but then unfortunately it was canceled out due to VAR, which to me it was never a foul. But Paraguay would go on to the penalty shootout, and after both teams looked like they didn't want to win, it was great saves from the goalkeepers, misses, posts, all the jazz. We finally got the upset, as Paraguay would end up defeating Germany. Now, saying that out loud doesn't even feel real. Also saying that Canada are going to go farther in a World Cup than Germany also doesn't feel real. But the German squad there in despair. Nick Woltemade, he missed his pen. Kai Havertz missed his pen. And Jonathan Tah, he missed his pen as well. Joshua Kimmich, he was on the touchline like, let's take a pen. And Leon Goretzka, he didn't want to take a penalty. I don't think any of those lads wanted to take a penalty. I'm pretty sure Jonathan Tah just stepped up, and unfortunately the center half missed it. Who I think is very unlucky, because Jonathan Tah, to me, he scored the winning goal and it didn't count. So it is what it is. But yes, really sucks for Germany. Shout out Kostin Janka. I feel like if Germany had a striker like Kostin Janka in this football match, they'd be going through to the next round. Shout out Kostin Janka. But we're going to move on now to the next team, the team I kind of just teased. As an African, don't know how to feel about them. I'm going to be real. But as a football fan, that would be Morocco. Now, Morocco, they would take on the Netherlands. Issa Diop in the 92nd minute would equalize, cancelling out Cody Gakpo's goal in the second half, and they would go to extra times as well as penalties, and it was Moroccan jubilation. We see Achraf Hakimi, Issa Diop, that's Nusa Mazwari on the left there, Man United player. This was the reaction to Ismail Saibari's goal, the new FC Bayern München man, scoring the game-winning penalty, and the Moroccans were off. Now, as I say, as African, I don't know how to feel because the Moroccan FA they ended up challenging and they ended up getting gifted the AFCON. But, oh man, this was a great football match. The opening 30 minutes were probably some of the best opening 30 minutes of a game I've seen in this World Cup. Like I said, Saibari, man, what a player. He's got his move to FC Bayern München, got the game-winning goal here. And it honestly, like, Morocco, they're going to be taking on Canada tomorrow at 1 o'clock for Eastern time there. As much as I want to hate on them, I can't, bro. This football team is class. I remember I met some Moroccans in Toronto and I was giving them a lot of sticks saying like Senegal, the real African champions. I was doing the Sadio Mane chants and everything, but then I had to go shake their hands after in solidarity because at the end of the day, I love seeing African teams win. I know this isn't the most conventional African FA, and I don't really need to elaborate on that because if you know, you know. But honestly, really good showing from them. And just moving on to the next upset within that was the Netherlands. Now, I don't even call this really an upset. It was this number 7 team in the world, the Netherlands, against the number 6 team in the world, Morocco, separated by 0.9 FIFA points there. And yeah, this also went to a penalty shootout. I think it was Somerville. He missed it, unfortunately, and who's might be going to Man United. The main man himself, Virgil van Dijk, the best centre-half I think I've ever seen play football. He didn't want to take a penalty, allegedly was Saul. And you know what? It sucks, Virgil, because I'm a big fan. But I was just saying, what happened to Virgil? You take penalties all the time for Liverpool. You took them at Celtic. You took them at Southampton. And now you don't want to take a penalty here. I was disappointed, but according to manager Ronald Koeman, he was hurt. But we're not going to spend that much more time on these lads because we're going to move quickly to, I was going to say England, but we're not moving on to England. We're moving on to one man himself, Mr. Harry Kane, the best footballer in the world. We're down 1-0 to the DR Congo after some shocking defending by Konza, Gehi, and Jed Spence. Terrible decisions from Thomas Tuchel left and right, leaving Kobe Mainoo on the bench. But Anthony Gordon comes on, crosses in the ball, Harry Kane with the move. As good as the ball was from Gordon, seeing Kane just do one of these around the box and header it in, the best football in the world. And then for that second goal, he says, fine, my name is Harry Kane, I'm going to do it myself. Takes it from the top of the box, touches it to his left and just fires in the top right corner, busting that, bro. It was so tough. I was wearing my Free Lions jersey in the Rogers Stadium because I was at the baseball match there, and I just kept saying it, man. Ballon d'Or, Rio Ferdinand, Ballon d'Or, Ballon d'Or, Ballon d'Or. Harry Kane should win the Ballon d'Or as it stands. He's the best football player in the world. He's the most complete striker I think this generation has ever seen. He literally could play the 6, the 8, the 10, and the 9. Could assist, he could defend, he could score. He's Harry Kane. I think it's a pleasure to watch Harry Kane play football, and I do think when it's all said and done, it'll always be for me, Wayne Rooney, then Sir Bobby. But I think Harry Kane is going to get his seat at that table when it's all said and done. And finally now to the last football point we had to make. And you know what? It wasn't pretty. It was probably a robbery. But Portugal would barely escape Croatia. And Cristiano Ronaldo. First of all, I want to ask you guys all a question. Cristiano Ronaldo or Eusebio? But regardless of that, they were able to win. Cristiano would get his first ever knockout goal. He's only 2 behind Ghana forward Asamoah for Ghana or for World Cup knockout goals there. But he got his first one. It was a penalty as well. Not saying that makes it better or worse, but so good for Ronaldo. And yeah, Portugal are able to hold on and win thanks to a 92nd minute winner from Gonçalo Ramos, who is, oh man, he's such a good footballer. I can't believe AC Milan are getting him. And narrowly escaped because in the in the 100 and I think 102nd minute, Croatia would unfortunately have a goal that to me should have stood disallowed, but Ronaldo was through. And you know what? I was saying to all my boys, as much as I disagree, at least Ronaldo and Bruno are through, and that's all I could say. Bruno Fernandes, the best midfielder in world football, hasn't had the best World Cup, unfortunately, but that's my boy from Man United, so I'm glad he's there. And yeah, that's just kind of the World Cup takes right now. I think when I look at Portugal, I'm not really impressed, and that's unfortunate because I really like some of their players. They got Nuno Mendes at the left, obviously. João Cancelo, who went from Saudi Arabia to Barcelona to the Seleção, like that's pretty good there. And I think when I look at that midfield is so disappointing, man. It's such a disappointing take. And I'm going to leave it at that because I do want to move on, but we'll see what happens with Portugal because I really hope they could do bits, but they're just not really playing like it. But okay, so moving on to the back end of this episode and probably the most like entertaining end by far. And that, wow, I can't believe this happened. But just getting straight into it, guys, Kawhi Leonard is back on the Toronto Raptors. And this is crazy to me that after 7 years of asking, why did you leave? You won us a chip and you left to go play for Paul George and the Clippers. Why? And for me saying every single year that we were one superstar away and that superstar was Kawhi Leonard away from being good again, we get Kawhi Leonard back. Now, wow, man, this is insane. This is like, I can't even fathom that he's back. I actually was just saying to my parents yesterday that it still doesn't feel real that Kawhi's back, but I am so happy that he is. Now, the full trade, the Raptors received Kawhi Leonard, while the Clippers received Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a pick swap. Now, did they overpay? No. I don't think so. And now, just sticking with Kawhi here, last season, he had 27.9 points per game, 6.3 rebounds per game, and he actually played 65 games too, which is relevant because that means he was eligible for the awards. He came 7th in MVP voting, and his defense was just as good as it's ever been. So he had a really good career year. I'm not going to call it a career year, sorry, I meant to say contract year. That's a lot of things that people are kind of like, I guess, putting on the back burner. Dude, it was a contract year. He's obviously going to turn up. He's going to play better. He's going to play more. And the rumor is that Kawhi was only willing to sign an extension with the Raptors. That's why we're able to jump on it so quickly. Bobby Webster was not stingy this time around, and he just gave up the picks. I'm here for it. Now, I do want to talk about Brandon Ingram. And Brandon Ingram, I love Brandon Ingram. I know he didn't really have the best Raptors tenure. He didn't end up playing that much in the playoffs. But Brandon Ingram is a Duke boy, and I love Duke. So I was so happy when we got him. A lot of people weren't. I was so happy. And I'm definitely going to miss Brandon Ingram. But I love him, but not at the expense of Kawhi Leonard. I will gladly take Kawhi Leonard back. And what can the Raptors do? Now, the East is so different. And, like, it's different because, again, we don't have Brandon Ingram now, but we have Kawhi Leonard. And it's going to be very interesting to see how the East unfolds because we do have another Eastern Conference trade to break down. But obviously, we know that the Miami Heat got Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Toronto Raptors just added Kawhi Leonard, who's going to pair up nicely with Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and Jakob Poeltl. That's probably going to be that starting 5 with CMB coming off the bench. They're also able to retain, obviously, Jacoby Walter and Jamal Shed. So the Raptors were able to keep a good amount of people. I would have given up Ingram and Grady if I was only going to have to give up 2 people, and that's what they did. So I'll take that for sure. And I think it's interesting too because when I look at the East, obviously, you know, Knicks and Fa, but like I feel like the Knicks, I think today are still touted to go through. But I don't know who that second team would be to match up with them. And that's where the Raptors kind of fall in. And I think that's what's the most intriguing to me about this move. And I think when we talk about a pure defensive lineup, a pure defensive team, these guys might have the best defensive lineup in the league. If you swap Poeltl out with CMB and you go small ball and just play defense, how do you oh, I almost cussed. How do you even like play against that? Like, that's a crazy defensive matchup. The fact that we're getting Kawhi Leonard and Scotty 5'6" Bonds on the same team is so cool. I always think that Scotty Barnes is like the upgrade of Kawhi in terms of play style, and now we're just getting them both. Like, that's sick to me. And I feel like seeing RJ Barrett perform in the playoffs, having him hit that insane buzzer beater was so cool. To me, he deserves to stay on the team because of that. So I'm glad we didn't trade him. I think the only other move I'd want to make if I'm the Raptors is I want that extra center. I want to get rid of Poeltl, and I want to get Miles Turner. I think Miles Turner would be the best big for us. He could stretch the floor now, which is really good. I've always been a fan of his. Unfortunately, we kind of missed out on a couple centers already, because I know Vucevic just went back to the Magic. Off the top of my head, I can't. Oh yeah, Mitchell Robinson went from the Knicks to the Celtics. That was crazy as well. And yeah, I feel like if I was the Raptors, I would have taken any one of those guys over Pirtle, if I'm going to be honest. So crazy move that Kawhi's back. Do I expect a championship? I'm never going to say no, so I will say yes this time. I want one. Like, if Kawhi's back, if we run that back and get another chip, national treasure. Shout out Drake, because I don't really know. I didn't really know if we'd ever get him back, let alone be in a position to have a team like this around him. So we need to make a couple tweaks, but I'm really excited for Raptors basketball next year. But what a lot of people aren't excited for next year, depending on what state you live in, is Philadelphia 76ers basketball and the Boston Celtics basketball. Because the Boston Celtics, were they going to get Giannis? Were they going to get Jokic? No. They ended up trading Jaylen Brown to the Philadelphia 76ers for Paul George. I can't, bro, this might be one of the worst trades I think I've ever seen. Like, Jaylen Brown, who just had the best year of his career as the main guy, who averaged 28 a game with 5 assists to earn all NBA honors. He carried them to the playoffs without Jason Tatum, and they said, "You're gone," for Paul George. I can't. Brad Stevens, man, what are we doing? This is one of the worst trades I have ever seen. Paul George, like, in 2026, we're gonna get podcast playoff P. Are we serious right now? This is one of the most confusing trades I've ever seen, because as Kendrick Perkins said, you pretty much hand them a spot to go to the NBA Finals. And that's why I say it gets interesting in the East now, because you could argue that the Raptors paid more for Kawhi than the 76ers did for Brown, and that's ridiculous to me. I don't understand that at all. Jaylen Brown had the best year of his career, and that is someone who has won the championship and Finals MVP. He's a Celtics legend. He's going to go in the Raptors, and they broke up the Jays. We got no more Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown action for Paul George. What are we doing here, ladies and gentlemen? This is blasphemy. Not to quote Stephen A, but this is blasphemy. If I was a Celtics fan, I would be so pressed right now. And what's nice too is that I actually have a direct quote from two of my boys, Caleb and Floyd. They're both massive Celtics fans. I reached out to both of them and said, "Hey, I'm doing a podcast tomorrow. I'm going to be talking about this monumental disaster of a trade. Can I get a quote?" And they both gave me one. So I'm going to start with Caleb. Caleb gave me a nice in-depth take here. So Caleb says, quote, "I think that Paul George can be good for us just with being a good three-point shooter as well as a two-way player, which fits good for Boston's play style. But I just don't see him doing it at this age." Because, yeah, that's what I'm saying too. "And I didn't like seeing Jaylen Brown leave in his prime, especially with Tatum coming back with the full offseason." Yeah, that's literally that's how I'm feeling. Like, I don't understand why you break up the Jays now. And the Jays for Paul George, Giannis, sure. If you make a move for Jokic, sure. The Paul George, no. Caleb would also go on to say that he's always trusted in Brad Stevens with trades, but this one I'm a little worried about. It also hurts as much because he's going to Philly of all teams. And as we know, Philly and Boston have had such a crazy rivalry. Like, they ended the process. Well, as Jaylen Brown said on his stream, the process is back on because Jaylen Brown is going from eliminating them to joining them. And they have a super team on paper with Joel Embiid, Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, and VJ Edgecombe. What are we doing, Boston? What are we doing? And then Floyd, he gave me the best just crash out on our iMessage when this happened, because I told him that they were going to trade Jaylen Brown. He's like, "Nah, bro, we can't trade him." And I just sent it to him, and I just told you, bro, this guy was cussing left and right. And I go, "Okay, bro, do you have a quote?" And he just goes, "My quote is that Brad Stevens has lost the trust of the fan base. This blank better work out." Short and sweet and to the point from Floyd there. So yeah, I'm with them though. Like, if I'm a Boston Celtics fan, Brad Stevens, you have lost the plot. That is a disgraceful trade. That is worse than the Luka Doncic trade, in my opinion, for Anthony Day-to-Day Davis. I don't understand how they gifted them Jaylen Brown. I would have sold my kidney for the Raptors to get Jaylen Brown, and these blanks did it for Paul George. What? Like, I can't fathom this. Like, putting this in Star Wars terms, this is like trading Boba Fett in the book of Boba Fett for Bib Fortuna. Why would you ever do that if you want a successful crime rate, bro? It makes no sense to me. This is like going from like Flash season 3 to Flash season 9. This is not good. There is nothing that anyone could tell me about this trade. Paul George has had such a decline, and I used to like him back in the day, but since he's joined Philadelphia, he has never crossed 42 games played, and is compared to his seasons in LA. He's gone from 22 points per game in LA to 16 and 17 points per game in Philly, to go on from 47% shooting in LA, which is good, to 43 and 43%. And he, like I said, has not played more than 42 games. He has played 41 and 37 games in his first and second stint in in Philadelphia there. And I know he got banned for like PED, if I'm not mistaken, like suspended, sorry. So that also like just happened. I don't understand why they thought Paul George. If you asked me as a Raptors fan, what would you give for Jaylen Brown? I would have said nothing, because we can't get him. Like, Jaylen Brown, to me, is a top 10 player in the league. He just won the championship not too long ago. He just won Finals MVP. And without Tatum, sure, stats might be a little inflated, had his best year. And you take the prime, the peak, the pinnacle Jaylen Brown and give it up for maybe 50 games and 15 points a game of Paul George, who's going to do nothing in the playoffs once it comes. I'm sorry, that might be the worst trade I have ever heard of in my life. And I was gonna, before we close it out, I was gonna talk about LeBron, but you know what? LeBron hasn't moved yet, but there's a lot of speculation. I was gonna get photos. I low-key think I forgot to add it, but LeBron has been heavily linked with the Golden State Warriors with Steph Chef. Look at Curry, man. Draymond, Irish, Spring, Green. And the rest are nobody. Shout out Flight Reacts, W Reacts. But yeah, if LeBron goes to the if LeBron actually goes to the Warriors, and the GOAT debate right there, his legacy will forever be tarnished. You went from getting BTA'd by the Warriors 3 out of 4 times in the finals to joining them to get a legacy ring. I hope he goes to the Warriors, and I hope they win, because then Steph Curry will be officially better than LeBron in everybody's books, in my opinion. Now, before we go, I took this opportunity to go on my Instagram and ask you guys what were your takes, because obviously today is Justin's take. So before we go, we got a couple. So Travis, he gave us 3. Shout out Travis. He says Lee should have taken Stenberg number 1. Again, I love Stenberg. I don't hate that. We've yet to see either of them play in the NHL, so I'm gonna not agree or disagree. I think they're both gonna have really good NHL careers. I can't believe you made me read this on my show. Jadon Sancho should have been sold back to Borussia Dortmund after his loan from, I'm assuming, Man United. I'm never talking about Jadon Sancho on this show ever again. I just agree. He should have just left, but he wants money and looks up to, well, in a good way, he looks up to Nelson Mandela because he's a freedom fighter. So, if you know, you know. And then finally, love this guy to death, but this is the worst take of all time. Nothing was wrong with how Abu Dhabi 2021 was handled. Just ask every other person on the grid how many championship Lewis Hamilton has and count how many people say 8 and not 7. Love you, bro. Moving on to Anish. He says cricket is one of the most difficult sports to play. As someone who is South African, I'm going to agree. I love and Trini as well, actually. So I love cricket. It's a good sport. Never played it. Don't think I will be able to play it. But yeah, that's a good take. Shout out Ben Stokes as well. Virat Kohli as well. That's another big athlete. And yeah, good take from you. And then Taryn has about the World Cup that France are going to win it all, and that Michael Olise is the best football in the world. Now, in terms of France winning it all, I'm going to be real. They might, but if they run into that little boy from Rosario, Argentina again, I'm just saying. And in terms of Michael Olise being the best football in the world, now, if you look at FC Bayern München, from my perspective, England fan. Terrence's perspective, France fan. Michael Olise and Harry Kane are just the dynamic duo. I'm pretty sure Olise broke the assist record. Kane is second to Messi for all-time goals in the season. This is an objective all-time duo season from them both. So I think, naturally speaking, the English lad is going to take Harry Kane. The French lad is going to take Michael Olise. I have no issues there because I love Michael Olise. And if I were to do the Ballon d'Or rankings today, it would go Harry Kane number 1, Michael Olise number 2. So that's a good take from you. And Eldon, he has a take, our producer here. He says Justin takes himself off the air. And hot take no more, because guys, that's going to do it for us today on Screen Chat. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Screen Chat, Justin's Take. This was so fun because I always feel like I could express myself in sport as well as I can other pop culture stuff. And because of how crazy the World Cup, the NHL Finals were, the draft, the NBA drafts, the offseason, how crazy sports has been, I thought we had to do a little Justin's Take today. So this won't be the last. There'll definitely be more Justin's Takes throughout the World Cup, throughout the summer, because it's just popping off. I'm so glad that Disney just put out X-Men 97, because in a few weeks we are going to do an X-Men 97 episode, which is great. And I'm glad that pop culture is kind of like getting onto that sports level, because in a good way, I needed something to watch and I just wasn't getting anything but Smallville. So I'm very happy that we were able to do this episode today. Thank you guys once again behind the scenes. Oh man, McKenna, Kawhi, Team Canada, what a time to be alive in Toronto. So it's been really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments for sure. Thank you guys again behind the scenes. And this has been Screen Chat. I've been Justin. Don't forget, you can follow us on social media at DCSA Media Hub and at me at Justin on the air, separated by underscores. That was Screen Chat live from the Media Hub on FNF Friday and on RiotRadio.ca.